Welcome back. Egypt's economy has begun to turn around, but we still need new solutions and efficient implementations of these solutions and ideas to optimize economic growth and especially to increase the number of the new jobs that it is being created to help younger generation to enter the new market. One sector which has left the full force of uncertainty over the last few years is Egypt, has been the tourism, which announced for the largest number of workers in any of the sector of the country. However, over the last year, there has been a very solid recovery in tourism, with some hotels at nearly 100% occupancy for the first time since 2010. To know more about the tourism flow this year to Egypt, we are joined by Mr. Hisham Dameery, and he's the former president of the Egyptian Tourism Board. Hello, sir, and welcome to our show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dameery, for joining Nile TV International and Nile Cruise. Now, the question is, can Egypt do more to boost tourism and gain both an increase not only in tourist numbers, but in terms of spending from each tourist, which is a key milestone as well?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here today, and let me first congratulate each and everyone working at the tourism sector in Egypt for the great accomplishment that happened during the past 2 years, 2017 and 2018. And we hope all that 2019 will be much better than the past 2 years. Matter of fact, Egypt or the tourism industry has negatively affected after the 2011, after the first revolution, and due to the brand perception of the country has been affected negatively as well. So after 2014 it started, the entire industry has started to recap or to reform again after the significant improvement at the brand perception of the country, and we started all to feel that there is a traffic is coming more and more. While yes, this is a very good question that we can do more. We can still working on the infrastructure of the country. We can do more to enhance the overall experience for each and every visitor to our country. This is how can we do a better result.
Right.
Mr. Hisham, the tourism sector was been affected by the incidents that took place during the last period in Egypt. But I believe this year things have become more to normal. So tell us more about the rate of tourism this year, and what about the nationalities that prefers to come to Egypt, of course, also this year.
If you allow me to start a bit earlier, from 2015, since we had a severe incident, the Russian air incident in Sharm el-Sheikh, and in 2015 and 2016, we had a travel ban from the entire world towards our destination. So all nationalities or all countries have suspended flying to our destination, either classical tours or Luxor, Aswan, Sharm el-Sheikh, Red Sea, whatever. And let me tell you that starting from 2016, late 2016, the entire country, starting from President Sisi up, and all governmental sector have worked hard to portray the right image about the country and to put the right brand perception about the country. And then we started all to feel some improvement. Starting from early 2017, some of the nationalities or some of the countries have resumed again flying to Egypt. And this improvement started to take place in 2017 and 2018. 2017, we closed, or the country closed by almost 53% year-on-year progress compared to 16. Yes, 2016 was not the best ever. It was one of the worst years in the tourism industry in Egypt due to the same reason I said, that we had a travel ban from the entire countries. While in 2017, we recovered this by a significant increase, which is 53%. I believe we closed, or the country closed by the overall number, it was almost 8.3 million travelers. And this year, the country or Egypt have recorded by over 11 million. So this is, I can say that Egypt started to recover again, and we started to be back to our normal figures, which is, our benchmark was 2010, and we recorded almost
13 million, was it?
14
14.
14 point something. The good sign as well during the past 2 years that one of the challenges faced the tourism industry in Egypt, that we were focusing on a very limited number of travel types or segments and very limited number of markets. And I have to say that the European market, or the West European market, used to represent more than 80% of our traffic. And more than 90% used to be only to beach destination, either to the Red Sea or to Sharm el-Sheikh. While the numbers to the classical Egypt, like Luxor, Aswan, Cairo, started to shrink. The good sign during the last 2 years that this pickup started to come from traditional markets like Germany, Italy, UK, and we started to penetrate as well, or the entire market started to penetrate new market like Ukrainian market, like Czech Republic, like Polish, East European market, Chinese, Indian. So we started to experience a good market to start to come to approach our destination. Moreover, we started to see some pickup at the classical tours like Luxor, Aswan. This year, I believe that we all feel that Luxor, Aswan this year and last year, really, we feel all that there is a significant improvement compared to the previous years.
Mr. Dameery, regarding the market, I have a couple of questions here. First of all, about the Russian market, where is it now? And second, is it true that Arab tourists have been increasing in number in the past few years and have been, changing their habits and coming to Egypt even in winter time and not only in the summertime? And the last question about the Latin American or the Southern or Central American market, are we indeed opening a new market there?
Yes. First, regarding the Russian market, the Russian market, Russia has suspended flying to the entire country since 2015 and started to resume flying back to Cairo starting from last year. And we hope that they are going to continue soon flying to the rest of the destination. You know that the Russian market used to be one of the fundamental market towards our destination. Russian market used to represent more than 30% from our business mix. And due to the absence of the Russian market, the industry or the decision makers in the tourism industry in Egypt, they started to open new markets like Ukrainian, as I mentioned, and the East European and Indian, Chinese, and all this stuff. The second half of the question regarding the Arab market, yes, this is absolutely true that the Arab market, this is absolutely true that in 2017 they have recorded the highest ever numbers in the history from the Arab market towards Egypt, and where Arab market was representing more than 30% of the business mix in 2017, and I believe this number has been even increased during 2018. Traveling habits for the Arab, you are absolutely right. Arabs was more dedicated to the city hotels, to Cairo, to Alexandria. Arab market now we started to see many Arabs in Luxor, in Aswan, and even they started to diversify their trips between summer, winter, springs. They start as well to approach new segments. They started to see that some of them in Sharm el-Sheikh. It was really a great asset in 2017, the Arab market in particular, where Sharm el-Sheikh was severely affected by the suspension of the Russian market. The Arab market was one of the key business driven to Sharm el-Sheikh.
What about the American market?
The American market, due to the long distance, but tourism is very market linked to the aviation or to the flights. So that's why I'm saying that tourism is an industry related to many other industries. There is a demand in Latin America and in the States, but definitely the number will not be the same as the West European market and the East European market due to the flying distance between the two countries. And most of the American and the Latin American people who are coming to Egypt are mainly joining Egypt with other surrounding country. However, the American market, which is a great indication, the American market in 2017 and 2018, they really have recorded very, very good improvement compared to the previous years.
Good.
Okay, sir, today we are in one of the most beautiful places in a ministerial palace. It dates back, of course, to the royal family. Usually in other countries, neighboring countries, the tourism does not go only to the monuments and to the historical places, but they also go to visit the palaces of the past. So why on our list, of the tourism list here in Egypt, they only go to the pyramids, Luxor and Aswan, these destinations that attracts most of the tourists. But why the palaces? We have a wonderful royal palaces. Maybe it's not
Publicized enough?
no, we cannot find it
Marketed enough?
in abroad.
Yeah.
Very wonderful and historical palaces. So why it's not listed on the tourism?
I like this
list?
question very much,
Yeah.
honestly, because we have in Egypt almost between 25 to 30 palaces and castles. And this segment, as I said earlier, that one of the main challenges faced this country, that we used to offer very limited number of business types. And one of the business types we need to focus at, this kind of tourism, the type of palaces and all the stuff, because it's not only a building, it represents an era, it represents a stage of life. But definitely, as I said earlier, that travel became as an experience. Fine, we have the building, but if we are talking about tourism as an industry, this building is one of the components of the industry. So first of all, we have to increase the people awareness about, us as an Egyptian, we have to be more engaged to this heritage. We have to know our civilization. We have to know our history first. Number two, we have to improve the infrastructure around the area, because the tourists now, they are not really care about to visit only the pyramids. They would like to discover everything around the pyramid itself. They would like to interact with people. They would like to be entertained. They would like to buy souvenirs, to go to dine. So all this area around represents or creates the overall experience about this place. So fine to have the palaces, this is something really great, but we have first to make sure of the surrounding infrastructure. We have to make sure of the people awareness that these people who are coming here, so always the UNWTO or the World Travel Organization or Tourism Organization, they always say before building a 5-star hotel, you should build a 5-star community. The 5-star community, it means the surrounding. People they understand how to deal with the tourist, how to handle tourists, and to have to make sure of the infrastructure of the place itself. And there is a very significant issue we have to make sure of, which is related to the safety and the security of the palaces, because palaces are flooded of treasures and many of the very exclusive objects. So we have to make sure that these places are not touched and they are in a very secure surrounding.
I like the 5-star community simile, and I think part of making a 5-star community is what's happening right now, Dina, Mr. Dameery, as we are sitting. You know, the flow of school students who are visiting this great, beautiful palace is non-stop. And this is part, I guess, Mr. Dameery and Dina, of creating awareness and creating the 5-star community. Sir, I want to ask about the African market, because I think it's high time now to ask about it. Egypt is leading the African Union, the presidency of the African Union. In a couple of months, Egypt is going to be hosting, Egypt is going to be hosting the African Cup of Nations, a big festival. We know every year in Sharm el-Sheikh there's been that presidential initiative for African youth in Sharm el-Sheikh and so on. So talk to me about the African market and how we can exploit this.
Yes, as you mentioned that there are many events are taking place right now, and we have to admit that similar events like this, it has a great impact to improve or to portray the right image about the country. African market, this is one of the market which represents a great treasure to our country. First of all, the entire African nations are very much interested in the Egyptian history, Egyptian civilizations. So we have to utilize, or we have to translate this into a real demand by, first we have to look into our aviation capabilities. We have to look into how to facilitate the entries for these people, because I know that there is some, this is part of the experience. If you are talking about the visas, if you are talking about the aviation, if you are talking about the hotels, if you are talking about understanding the habits and the traditional for this market, to make them really engaged to our country, this is really part of this experience. So I believe by heading, by leading Africa in 2019, we are having a great opportunity first to expose our product all over this great continent. This is number one. Number two, we have to invite celebrities from the African countries to come to visit and to deploy them, or to employ them to be an ambassador to our country in their countries. This would be a great act as well in order to improve the number from the African continent.
One of the ambassadors, sorry to interrupt, is a great football player who could be, who's the president of Liberia.
Definitely.
So I guess just an idea of course, His Excellency Mr. George Weah, the president of Liberia, if he comes here, I mean that would be the best thing ever, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Mr. Hisham Dameery, former president of the Egyptian Tourism Board, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And now moving to a quick break, so please stay tuned.